Dallas police released dashcam video of officers taking down the shooter who killed one DPD officer and wounded 2 others. Hello, everybody. I'm Heather Hayes.
I'm Steve Eager. This was the end of a high-speed chase from Dallas to Louisville on I-35 Thursday night. Police say cobb-bey stopped his car, got out with a shotgun, and was killed after refusing to drop it. Cobb-bey died on the interstate roughly 30 minutes after he executed a Dallas police officer, Darren Burks, and wounded 2 others. Sean Rabb in studio tonight with the update. Sean.
Yeah, and before we get there, viewers need to know what you are about to show. What we're about to show you may be for some very graphic and offensive, even disturbing. Chief Eddie Garcia, though, told us last week that the surveillance video that captured what the chief called the targeted execution of Officer Darren Burks and the attack on other officers would not be released, but only that portion of video that shows the final encounter with the shooter.
Use caution.
Corey Cobb-bey, who shot 3 Dallas police officers, killing Officer Darren Burks and leading police on a chase on I-35 into Louisville, stops his car on the freeway. Despite the racing emotions, the officer on the radio is calm in a pressure-packed critical incident.
Got door coming open. Use caution. He's looking back, still in the car, coming out with a weapon. Coming out with, nope, hands are up.
Cobb-bey gets out with hands up, then goes back to the car and gets a weapon. Officers yell for him to drop the gun.
He's got a weapon in hand. He's got a weapon in hand walking back towards officer.
The camera zooms in and freezes so you can see the weapon. Cobb-bey keeps walking towards officers who are still yelling commands. 6 officers open fire. Cobb-bey falls.
Looks like a good vehicle, weapon in hand. Roll EMS. Roll EMS.
Corey Cobb-bey died on Interstate 35. His violence already done. 2 officers injured, and rookie officer Darren Burks lost his life. In the 900 block of East Ledbetter last Thursday night, Dallas Police Chief Eddie Garcia called it an execution.
Cobb-bey approached Officer Burks and talked with him briefly through the driver's side window as he recorded the encounter with a cell phone. The suspect then pulled out a handgun and executed Officer Burks as he sat in his vehicle.
Cobb-bey, the chief said, returned to his white sedan, getting this shotgun with a drum magazine, placing it on top of Officer Burks' squad car, waiting for responding officers. And when they showed up, he opened fire.
We came close to losing other officers who put their lives on the line to protect their brother. And it is by the grace of God they are still with us today. Our officers were targeted for nothing more than the uniform they wear and for the brave and honorable job that they do.
Sunday, Darren Burks' body in a police processional escorted to Restland Funeral Home, where he will be prepared for the celebration of his life. Outside South Central Patrol, a squad car turned shrine salutes the service and sacrifice of 46-year-old officer Darren Burks, who after 17 years as a teacher turned to policing as a second career. Niall Smith brought his daughter to pay their respects.
I'm former military, Air Force, and served the country. And I just want to help her understand patriotism and community and just, you know, what the law enforcement does for the community and how it affects us all.
Funeral services for Officer Darren Burks will take place at Watermark Church in Dallas. There will be public visitation Friday evening and Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. And then, of course, the funeral itself will take place at the Watermark Church.
All right, Sean Rabb in studio. Sean, thank you very much.
Authorities believe the man arrested for murdering a Harris County deputy constable may have known his victim. Atir Muradi made his first appearance in court today. He is charged with the murder of Deputy Maher Husseini. Police say dashcam footage in Husseini's personal vehicle showed the 2 men shaking hands just minutes before the shooting. There's also evidence the suspect lives and works in North Texas. Fox 4's David Santendri has the update live tonight. David.
Well, the medical examiner's office says Deputy Husseini was shot 13 times, and now there's evidence that he probably knew that alleged shooter, as both were running competing security companies. After getting released from a hospital, Athir Maradi was booked into jail in Galveston Wednesday evening prior to a Thursday morning court appearance. His charges in Galveston are related to the police pursuit following the shooting death of a Harris County deputy constable.
All right, Mr. Maradi, you're in custody on a charge of evading detention with a motor vehicle. I'm going to go over your rights with you.
A newly obtained arrest warrant reveals that a witness told police a suspect, who she later identified in a photo lineup as Maradi, got out of his gray Chevrolet Impala at an intersection in West Houston and shot into Deputy Constable Maher Husseini's SUV. The witness said he then moved the Impala to a parking lot, walked back, and fired again into Husseini's SUV before fleeing. Several hours later, that same Impala was spotted in Galveston, and the driver led police on a pursuit. Once Maradi hit a dead-end street, however, police say he drove the Impala into the ocean. He then tried to swim away, but was captured. We're now learning dash camera footage from Deputy Husseini's personal SUV shows he met with Maradi about 10 to 15 minutes before the shooting. They shook hands and had a cordial interaction, according to investigators who viewed the video. The extent of their relationship is unknown, but records show both own or have owned security companies.
Senseless crime, you know.
A business partner of Husseini told our Houston sister station that about a year ago, Maradi tried to take business away from them.
Because he tried to take, like business from us in Dallas and New Orleans. Then he came apologize for that.
This apartment complex off Coit Road in Plano is where, according to public records, Maradi operates Texas Protection Associates, LLC. A photo from the company's Facebook page appears to show Maradi in security uniform. Records indicate Maradi also registers a driving school from the same Plano address. Earlier this year, Maradi was arrested in Farmers Branch for traffic violations. Maradi allegedly did not have insurance, and his registration was expired. In a report, the officer claimed Maradi made little sense and appeared very nervous. 2 loaded guns, 7 fully loaded magazines, and 3 tactical vests found in the car were taken as evidence. On Thursday, a funeral was held for Deputy Husseini.
It's tough. It's very tough. Yeah, tough.
Ones who worked alongside him describe his character.
And he always made it a point to say hello to us and see how our day was going.
Maradi's bond request was denied in Galveston today. That was for the evading charge. He still needs to be transferred back to Harris County for that murder charge, but it's unclear when exactly that will happen. Clarice, I'll send it back to you.
Prosecutor was appointed but withdrew, and along the way, other court-appointed attorneys withdrew as well.
Then they had to give him a replacement defense attorney, which, it keeps setting the trial back.
That same year, McDermott was let out of jail on a personal recognizance bond and placed on an ankle monitor. Vanderslice says he learned that monitor was removed after roughly 2 months.
They let him remove his monitor and just be a free man.
The trial has been reset numerous times as court-appointed defense lawyers and special prosecutors changed.
And reset.
Vanderslice kept count. In 2019, Judge Carter Thompson, who we tried to reach but was told is out of town this week, appointed the current special prosecutor. But then COVID hit, for a time shutting down the courts.
It's been over 10 years since she was murdered, and justice needs to happen.
And I understand you have COVID. 10 years is 10 years. Okay, we had lots of cases pre-COVID that have been resolved.
This case does not belong to Dallas County District Attorney John Creuzot because the DA's office recused itself back in 2017 before Creuzot was elected. But Creuzot has also served as a state district judge.
A case, 10 years, should have gone to trial. And the person who causes a case to go to trial is the trial judge, whoever runs that court. That's part of their court management responsibility to get cases to trial.
David Wade McDermott is scheduled to go to trial now in January of next year for the murder of Janet Vanderslice. Her son hoping justice won't be delayed again.
I want justice for Janet. That's my mother, yes. I want justice in front of a jury, 12 members of a jury. I might not like the outcome or their decision, but at least my mother will get her day in court.
So that day in court is supposed to happen January 27th of 2025. all of the attorneys that we were able to contact today, the current court-appointed defense attorneys, as well as the current special prosecutors, none of them wanted to talk to me on camera. Again, January 27th is when the gavel is supposed to drop now, and of course we'll be watching to see what happens and whether this case goes forward.
Sean, we know you will continue to keep us informed on this. Thank you.
A woman arrested for trying to drown a little girl and hurting the little girl's brother has been formally charged. If she's convicted, she could face extra time for the charges because the grand jury determined she may have committed hate crimes in the process. Elizabeth Wolf remains in the Tarrant County Jail for the incident that happened in May. Police say she was drunk and yelled racial slurs at a Palestinian mother before the attack. Fox 4's Peyton Yeager is live with the update tonight. Peyton.
Steve, and I'm told this Tarrant County family is still traumatized by that May day at the Euless apartment pool. They are receiving counseling still to this day. Now, those indictments were recently filed, and at the end of the indictment, a hate crime enhancement was added. 3 months after police say Elizabeth Wolf tried to drown a little girl and injured her brother, a Tarrant County grand jury indicted the 42-year-old on attempted capital murder and causing bodily injury to a child. The August 15th indictment also added a hate crime enhancement, saying Wolf targeted the children because they are Muslims or persons of Middle Eastern descent.
It had all the elements of a hate crime.
That hate crime enhancement was something Shema Zayan with the Texas chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations has been pushing for since May. According to investigators, on May 19th, Wolf was drunk and made racial statements before approaching a Palestinian woman wearing a hijab and her 2 kids at an apartment pool in Euless. Police say Wolf grabbed the 6-year-old boy and scratched him. While the boy's mother was helping her son, Wolf then allegedly grabbed the woman's 3-year-old daughter and forced her underwater. Both of the children were covered physically.
When we said it's a tiny girl, she is really tiny, really, really tiny, cute girl. She smiles with her eyes and so sweet. So sad that that happened to her.
But Zayan tells Fox 4 she visited with the family this week, and they're receiving help from Tarrant County Victims Services.
They are getting better. I can see the mom, she's regaining her confidence and sense of safety and sense of trust in public.
The family also relieved to know that Wolf remains in the Tarrant County Jail on a $1 million bond. Wolf is due next in court on September 19th.
We are learning more about an off-duty officer who was involved in a shooting this week in Fort Worth. Good evening. I'm Clarice Tinsley. Police are saying very little about the officer's identity, but our own record checks and trusted sources say the officer is linked to a high-profile use of force incident that led to a civil rights lawsuit. Fox 4's Deion Anglin joins us with more. Deion.
Hi there, Clarice. That is right. The officer-involved shooting itself still lacks clarity. The officer's identity, through several reliable sources, is now confirmed. The Fort Worth Police Department has yet to identify an officer who earlier this week made a report that he was in his personal vehicle near I-35W and Morningside Drive when another driver struck him and kept going. The off-duty officer at the time told a dispatcher he followed that vehicle, a Ford F-150 pickup. The department, in a news release, described how the pursuit, according to the officer, culminated with gunfire after the pickup driver tried to ram the officer's vehicle. Police confirmed the officer discharged a firearm and also pointed out the truck driver received non-life-threatening injuries. Since that release of information, Fox 4 has learned through records checks and several reliable city sources. The officer involved is department veteran William Martin, the same officer involved in a controversial call with citizen Jacqueline Craig and her teenage daughters in 2016.
You're under arrest.
An incident that sparked this viral video and accusations of Officer Martin using excessive force when he arrested Craig and one of her daughters. Charges against both were later dropped.
I had trouble communicating with the mother. She was very hostile.
Officer Martin, in 2017, appealed a 10-day suspension in the Craig case and demanded back pay. Fox 4 covered the city hearing, which lasted days. His appeal was ultimately denied. The family of Jacqueline Craig, who is now deceased, later received a $150,000 settlement from the city in a civil rights lawsuit. Meantime, as of Friday afternoon, the Fort Worth Police Department continues to be tight-lipped on the September 3rd hit-and-run shooting case, only offering the investigation is ongoing and there have been no arrests. We do know the City Council has been notified of the matter. As well, a Fort Worth Police Officer Association representative tells Fox 4 it is aware of this latest situation involving Officer Martin, but at this time has no comment. Now, the Fort Worth Police Department says it has never been procedure to identify an officer in a case like this where there is no termination or an arrest that's been made. But again, at least one city official and several other reliable sources confirmed for us it is Officer William Martin. That's the very latest live. Clarice, back to you.
Dion, thank you.
An Uber driver is recovering after being shot overnight during an attempted robbery in Dallas. Fox 4's Sean Rabb is in downtown Dallas right now with the story. Sean.
Yeah, he was shot twice, Steve, and now Dallas police are trying to develop leads on the three suspects. Dallas police detectives go over the SUV belonging to an Uber driver who was shot early Tuesday morning during an attempted robbery. The driver on a service call that took him to 1600 Pentagon Parkway and Rugged Drive in Oak Cliff, the Oak Park Estates neighborhood. He was approached by three men with guns demanding his property. He tried to get away from the trio. Multiple shots rang out, some striking the vehicle. The driver's wallet lay on the ground. Deputy Mayor Pro Tem Carolyn King Arnold represents the District 4 neighborhood where it happened and called it frustrating to learn of another assault on a rideshare driver.
We are not going to tolerate these assaults on these. These are hardworking people, and they have made a decision to serve because they need to feed their families.
The driver was hit twice. In a statement, Uber tells us this reported act of violence is terrifying, and as soon as we were made aware, we banned the rider from the platform. We've been in touch with the driver and are wishing them a speedy recovery. We're standing by to assist law enforcement in their investigation. The city put up close to $5 million incentive dollars to bring an Uber hub to Dallas, the largest Uber hub outside of San Francisco.
It makes you angry knowing that many of these people who are out there are working either a second job or a third job. If we continue to see these assaults against hardworking people, hardworking communities, we may very well have to suffer the consequences of having a void in terms of those resources. And mobility is definitely number one on our list.
So Dallas police, again, hoping the evidence will help them develop leads on the suspects, as well as possible video from surveillance cameras in that neighborhood. In the Uber statement, you saw there where they say they banned the rider from the platform. That does not mean this person was involved, but it's possible they can help police with this investigation in some way.
A man accused of driving drunk, crashing into a home and killing an 18-year-old was supposed to go to trial next week.
Instead, authorities say that suspect took his own life. It really is a shock to the Kirkland family. They've been waiting 2 years for justice for the 2022 death of 18-year-old Katie Kirkland. Fox 4's David Santendry live at the Tarrant County Courthouse where the trial would have taken place. David.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the Kirkland family has been waiting more than 2 years for this trial, but now it's not going to happen. Donald Gruber apparently killed himself, a self-inflicted gunshot wound, according to White Settlement Police Department.
Get her day in court, really, too.
Amy Kirkland was preparing for a trial next week, 2 years after an alleged intoxicated driver drove a truck through her family's home in White Settlement, critically injuring her husband and killing their 18-year-old daughter, Katie, who was in her bedroom.
We've been trying to mentally prepare for this, and I don't know how to mentally prepare for something like that.
There will be no trial, however, because the suspect, Donald Gruber, took his own life on Saturday, August 31st.
I don't know if I don't feel closure or if it doesn't matter.
Kirkland recalls her reaction when the Tarrant County District Attorney's Office notified her Wednesday.
I was just crying. I couldn't tell you why. I don't know why I was crying.
Mixed emotions.
Right now, I'm still I don't know how I feel about it.
On one hand, Gruber escaped, facing potential consequences in a courtroom and prison.
But I do kind of feel like that was taken from me.
On the other hand, Kirkland does not have to relive pain while inside a courtroom.
But I don't have to go through the trial, and I don't have to look at photographs and listen to, the play-by-play of that night anymore.
Amy Kirkland is a teacher at Saginaw High, where Katie went to school. Katie was an only child who had less than a year before graduation.
She was starting to realize it's closer than you think. She was just thinking about, where she was going to go to school.
Hello, my name is Katie, and I'm so happy to be part of the Scholastic Art Competition of 2022.
For Katie's case, the intoxication manslaughter charge against Gruber will be dismissed because of his suicide death, according to White Settlement Police Department. Does it matter to you that you don't have that official, on-paper, documented guilty?
I don't know.
The Kirklands lived down the street from Gruber. Amy saw him the night before the crash.
And we just said a neighborly hi. We didn't know him.
Now she can only wonder how she would have reacted had she seen him again while on trial.
I didn't really know how I was going to react to seeing him. Am I just going to cry? Am I just going to sit stone-faced?
Gruber had several DWI convictions even prior to this case. Now, Amy Kirkland says her husband, who again was in the house at the time of that crash, was critically injured, spent 7 months in a coma. She says he is on his way to recovery, about 90–95% better physically at this point in time.
DeSoto police released body cam video from an officer who shot and killed an armed man.
Yeah, he was with a woman and 2 children early Sunday morning when he was shot. So police say they don't know why this happened, and the officer-involved shooting is being investigated by outside agencies. But that video was shared with the media today. Fox 4's Sean Rapp joins us live with that body camera video. Sean?
Hey, good evening to you. Let me tell you, first of all, DeSoto police took no questions today. Let me set the scene for you. Early Sunday morning, a little after 4, a man, a woman, 2 kids, banging on doors in a DeSoto neighborhood, asking people for water or other help. Folk are startled awake, and the initial officer who responded, it started out low-key, but soon escalated. That initial officer ultimately ended the call with 1 shot from his patrol rifle.
He's got the gun in his hand. He's got the gun in his hand.
37 minutes after a DeSoto officer first makes contact with a group of people Sunday morning, it ends with that officer shooting a man police say had guns in hand. The officer didn't know it then, but the man was Jesse Martinez, 34. We now know he had a violent criminal history and had outstanding felony warrants for aggravated kidnapping and continuous sexual assault of a child. With Martinez, a woman, his girlfriend, her 13-year-old daughter, and the 1-year-old boy, Martinez's son, with the woman. What they were doing and why, police say they don't know.
These are all speculative or potential aspects of this incident that are being examined from many different angles.
How's it going?
Sunday, September 1st, 4:06 in the morning, the officer answering a 911 call about a group of people on Greenbrier Drive knocking on doors, even backyard doors, asking for water. The officer low-key, but that changes as the officer tries to get the group to stop and talk to him.
Hey, stop right there. Stop right there.
They ignore the officer's commands. He stays on his radio saying the suspect has a gun.
2 adults. He's got a gun in his pocket, and there's a baby with him as they were walking away from me towards the creek.
The officer continues on his radio, transmitting what we can't make out from Martinez.
All right, I know he's got a gun. He's down by the creek. He's saying if he sees me, he's going to kill me.
DeSoto calls Dallas police and the Department of Public Safety for helicopter help. Neither can respond. But DeSoto police locate him behind a house on Springbrook Drive, and the 2 adults and 2 children move to the middle of the street.
As Martinez approaches, now clearly displaying 2 handguns, officers order him multiple times to stop and to show his hands.
The officer grabs his patrol rifle, deftly moving near where the group are standing. You hear police screaming commands.
Hey, show me your hands right now!
Martinez, police say, verbally refuses, and that first responding officer, based on what he knew, Martinez had a gun, and what he saw standing behind women and children, made the decision to use deadly force. So let me tell you, we were able to see on the video, it is hard to see, but Martinez does have a gun in his right hand, that hand down by his side when the officer makes the split-second decision to shoot. Also, as you can see, they're huddled very close together, all four of them. There was no room for error when the officer fired his patrol rifle. Now, the video is going to be released broadly by DeSoto Police on its Facebook page Monday, but right now, no plans for an additional media briefing where we're able to ask deeper questions. Hannah, Heather, back to you.
All right, Sean, thank you for the update.
Police in Seagoville, southeast of Dallas, say they caught a fugitive from Arkansas wanted for shooting into a police squad car. Seagoville police released this body camera footage for the arrest earlier this week. An officer went to investigate a group of people parked at a closed pool in the middle of the night. One of those people was the wanted fugitive. Fox 4's Peyton Yeager is live at the Dallas County Jail with the story. Peyton.
Clarice, and the name of that wanted fugitive is Chidarius Avery. Now, Avery is still here tonight at the Dallas County Jail. He's waiting for police in Arkansas to come pick him up. He was on the run for about a year. His last ping back in October of 2023 was on his phone, and it said, according to police, his phone was heading towards Dallas. Again, almost a year goes by till he was found, until earlier this week. Just after 3 a.m. Monday morning, a Seagoville police officer notices two vehicles parked outside a neighborhood pool. Inside a silver truck, a woman and an Arkansas man wanted for attempted capital murder.
You are being recorded. You are being recorded. You both have identification on you?
37-year-old Chidarius Avery was on the run for nearly a year. Investigators say in October 2023, Avery opened fire on a female police officer through the driver's side window of her patrol car. The officer witnessed Avery in a shootout with another man. It happened in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, about 45 minutes south of Little Rock. The officer wasn't hit by any bullets, but was injured by shards of glass. Early Monday, Avery met up with a female in Seagoville who is not facing any charges. The officer thought it was suspicious.
Because of the time of the night and where he was, I think he was more caught off guard.
Once approached by the officer, Avery was cooperative, providing his real name and revealing he was staying with someone in or near White Settlement.
And where are you originally from? Arkansas. Okay. You are a homicide suspect. Attempted murder, Pine Bluff PD. And what? They have warrants for your arrest.
Police say Avery also violated parole to a prior charge of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. He was transported to the Dallas County Jail, awaiting extradition back to Arkansas.
The moment I ran your name, your date of birth, you have a whole bunch of aliases and different stuff, how you spell your name, it popped immediately for the felony warrants out of Arkansas.
Think about what's going on in the cities that are around us, Houston, Dallas, and they're all out the country right now. It's wonderful that he's off the streets.
Seagoville police tell me that Avery did not have any weapons on him when he was arrested. I also spoke briefly over the phone with a detective at the Pine Bluff Police Department in Arkansas, and he was not aware of any ties that Avery had here in North Texas. But according to Avery, he was allegedly staying with someone in the White Settlement, Fort Worth area.
Well, law enforcement officers say they're seeing a trend of thieves getting bolder as they target businesses. As Fox 4's Sean Rabb reports, the Lake Worth police chief trying to turn the tables on those thieves with the help of the city's retailers.
Thieves break into a Lake Worth business over the weekend, caught on tape. Once inside, they turn the lights on and with trash bags go late night shopping. As they ran out, police roll up.
pursued them. It ended up with a barricaded situation, and we were eventually able to get that individual to surrender.
Police Chief J.T. Monishagan holding a retail roundtable, a twice-a-year meeting with retailers to talk about ways to cut organized crime rings of burglars and robbers.
No longer do we see purely just shoplifting. That's very rare. What we're starting to see now are groups of criminals acting in an organized fashion to strategically target certain retailers or areas, and then those products are sold on the black market, and those funds go into criminal organizations. And so we see the bigger picture, and we're trying to work with our private sector partners to put a stop to that.
Like the group caught on tape last year, stealing drugs from a Walgreens in Lake Worth. They hit multiple stores that day. A pattern for these thieves, says one Walgreens representative.
A lot of times they will go from Target to Walmart to Walgreens to Ulta, then go to the next little city and do it again.
Then they have the stash houses, correct? And they just take all, they don't have to sell it on the corner, do anything. They take it to a stash house and they sell all of it in one block for hundreds of dollars.
Organized rings rolling across the country, says one retail loss prevention officer.
Last year we had crews from Mississippi. We had several come up from Houston. So it is not surprising to us to see people come here.
The chief wants retailers to call when they know or suspect that a theft is taking place, not after it's over and the thieves are gone. That will give police a chance to catch them, like this chase and arrest last year.
We want to catch them in the act, put them in jail today, and close that case for good.
Keeping commerce growing while cutting organized crime. Sean Rabb, Fox 4 News.